Before I continue, I feel I must mention by listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultations with your healthcare professionals. We're here to share stories and give hope. Please consult your own physician for any medication questions or medical issues that you may be having. Our bodies are uniquely ours, and something that may work for one person may not necessarily work for you. Hi everyone, I am Heather Davies, and this is Meniere's Muse. This week I'm talking with Johan, the Chappiness guy, about his vestibular journey with PPPD, persistent postural perceptual dizziness, and vestibular migraines, also called MAV, migraine-associated vertigo, or migraine-induced vertigo. His symptoms began about 3 years ago at the age of 33. Even though he was diagnosed fairly early in his journey, his symptoms didn't ease up for many months. Through his struggles, he has found the formula that works for him and has embarked on a mission as a VITA ambassador to raise awareness for vestibular disorders and provide strong community support. With his optimistic attitude and his unrelenting enthusiasm, he shares how the power of manifestation has been a driving force in his life. Please welcome Johan, the Chappiness guy. Welcome, Johan. Well, welcome, Johan. Thank you for joining me today on Meniere's Muse. And we would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your vestibular journey.
Thank you, Heather. It's a pleasure to be here in your show, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, first off, I want to ask you, how did you come up with the Chappiness guy, the name?
Well, I have 4 dogs. 2 of them are adopted, and one of our latest adoption, she comes from a very rough past. Her name is Safari, and Safari comes from a very difficult background. When we got her, the shelter told us, hey, like, she's a good dog, but she's very shy, she's very scared, she's very insecure about things. But with the love that we gave her, and of course with her socializing with other dogs, she was always smiling. Like, she couldn't help it, but she smiles. Like, she actually smiles. So we started calling her Chappy, as a play word of happy. So when I got hit with this vestibular condition back in 2019, I was very broken. I was sad. I was depressed. I was a shell of who I used to be. And Safari, or Chappy, will come and lick me, and she will try to, like, lay next to me and kind of, like, encourage me. So I decided to, like, if she was able to find a new outlook in life and find happiness again, why couldn't I, right? Like, even though the circumstances were different and circumstances were difficult, I could find happiness. So I used her nickname as find your chappiness as kind of like a sentence to motivate me and to motivate others to find their chappiness regardless of the circumstances.
I love that. And you have 4 fur babies.
4, which
Oh. Now, is Safari one of those?
Safari, she's not feeling good. She's been feeling kind of like sick since yesterday. So I'm keeping a close eye on her, just making sure she's okay.
Oh, poor babies. Well, she seems to have done right by you, and they know when we're not feeling well.
Yeah, they sure do. So I'm trying to return the favor and stick by her side while she's not feeling well today.
Oh, poor thing. Well, Johan, will you tell us a little bit about your vestibular journey?
Yes. So Heather, prior to my vestibular condition, I felt like I was on top of the world, like I had a great career. I was traveling a lot personally and also because of work, living a very fun, adventurous life. I never really liked alcohol, but I used to drink socially. And I wasn't careful with my diet. I was eating everything and anything that I wanted to eat. So yeah, living a pretty normal life. One weird evening on April 18, 2019, I was sitting with my wife watching a TV show. We were eating ice cream with brownies from Walmart, and we ate it. I went to sleep after a while, and then I woke up around 2 or 3 in the morning, and the whole world was spinning. So I was like, whoa, like what the hell? I woke my wife up, and I'm like, I'm having a stroke, or those brownies from Walmart were spiked. And she's like, no, because she's like, I ate them too, and I'm feeling normal.
Oh,
And I'm like,
no.
well, I'm not. Like everything's spinning, and I have like I don't have any orientation. Like I don't know where south, north, east, or west is, because everything is turning very quickly. So I got really scared, and I told her, okay, if it's not the brownies, because obviously she wasn't experiencing any weird symptoms, I said, then I'm maybe having a stroke. So we went to the emergency room. They ran the test here in Canada at the hospital. They are quite efficient with that. They ran all the tests, and then the doctor came up to me and he says, "You're having a a migraine-induced vertigo attack." And I said, "Okay, well." When I heard the word migraine, it was weird because I didn't really have a headache, and people usually associate migraine with strong headaches. So I said to the doctor, I said, but I don't have a headache. And he's like, no, a migraine is not necessarily a headache. A headache is one of the symptoms of a migraine, but migraines can have many different symptoms, one of them being the vertigo attack. So I said, great, how do we get rid of it? So they gave me some fluids, they gave me some medication, and they said it usually goes away on its own after a couple hours, maybe a couple of days. You just go home and try to rest. I said, okay, well, as debilitating as it was, I was assuming that after a couple of days, I was going to be fine. Well, Heather, I wasn't fine. Everything kept, well, things weren't spinning anymore after a few days, but I felt different. I felt off. Like I felt off balance, almost like everything was bouncing from side to side. I felt like the ground wasn't solid anymore, almost like I was sinking with every step.
Right.
I also felt like I was being pulled to the left. Like I would sit in a chair and I would hang on to the chair of the table because I kept feeling that I was dropping to the left, even though I wasn't. So I was very confused. I went to the hospital again after a few days, and they said, we don't know. Well, we don't know what it is. You might have to keep waiting for it to go away. Days went by, weeks went by, and the symptoms kept evolving. My eyes couldn't focus. I couldn't watch TV because my eyes wouldn't track the movement. Also, I would look at anything that was steady, and it would look like it was vibrating on its own. So these very trippy symptoms were affecting me more and more every day. I told my wife, I asked my wife again, I'm like, are you sure the brownies were in a spike? Because this feels like I'm high. And she's like, well, you sound like you're high, but she's like, but it has nothing to do with that, because she's like, I ate them too, and I don't feel anything.
Wow.
So for a while, I was blaming Walmart and I was blaming the brownies. I'm like, I think they are selling the spike brownies. Anyways, so these weird symptoms kept happening. It kept happening, getting stronger and stronger every day. I started feeling a lot of anxiety, like out of nowhere. Like I would be sitting there talking to my wife or my son, and I will get in full mode of panic attacks for no reason. I would be sitting there, and my heart would start beating really fast. I'll start sweating, cold. I'll start thinking like something really bad was about to happen, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, like I'm having a panic attack." And they're like, "Why?" Like there's nothing dangerous around us. And I'm like, "I don't know, it's just happening." So these things kept happening. So I went to look for a specialist. I kept going to different doctors. Some doctors kept saying, "Oh, you're just an anxious person." And I'm like, "No, I'm anxious now because I'm experiencing all these crazy things, but I was never an anxious person before." So some doctors will just send me home saying, "You're just anxious, go home and try to focus on happy thoughts." Other doctors kept running tests, blood work, MRIs, different lab work, and they said, you're coming as one of the healthiest guys we've ever treated. Like we don't know what it is. Until eventually I got referred to a neurologist, and he said, everything that you are experiencing points to vestibular migraines. Heather, at that point, I was 33 years of age. I had never heard the word vestibular in my life. I'm like, what is a vestibular? He's like, it's basically your sense of balance and orientation. So he explained that to me briefly, and he gave me some medication. He sent me home, and things eventually started improving.
From your first symptoms to that final diagnosis of vestibular migraine, how long was that?
About 7 or 8 months.
Okay. It's unusual for you to get diagnosed so quickly, like you, I mean, right away in the hospital for them to say vestibular migraine-induced vertigo.
Just very good. Yeah.
The ER physician said that. I've never heard anyone saying that so quickly. So that's,
yeah, he knew. He somehow he knew, which I'm grateful that he knew, but at the same time, that didn't provide any solutions, because he basically just sent me home. He's like, oh yeah, it'll go away on its own. So just go home. Yeah.
Right. So the medication, it did ease up a little bit? The symptoms?
So at that point, after I found out that I was diagnosed with vestibular migraines, I started doing a lot of research.
Right.
You can get pulled into this whirlpool of bad information online when you're researching health conditions. So I started researching about it, and a lot of the information that I found was in different forums. And a lot of the stories were from people that were very negative. They said, oh, I've been dealing with this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and the medication made me worse, and the medication gave me a mental breakdown, and the medication this, and the medication is poison. So at that point, I was like, whoa, like, I definitely don't want to touch any medication. I've never really been into medication. Even when I had like a bad headache in the past, I wasn't one to take Advil or Tylenol. I would just kind of like ride it out until it went away. And now with this, hearing all these comments from people saying, no, don't take the medication, it's gonna poison your system, it's really bad. So I was really against medication. However, I also found VITA, the Vestibular Disorder Association, which provides a ton of resources and a ton of very positive and accurate information that is helpful. So at the beginning, Heather, I didn't want to take the medication. I was against it. And I said, no, I'm going to cure this by myself. So I spent all my savings, thousands and thousands of dollars, maxed out my credit cards, doing everything: physiotherapy, chiropractor, acupuncture, naturopaths, and trying everything that didn't include medication.
Right.
So these things somewhat helped, but I was still not functional. I was still not being able to, prior to this, I was a very independent guy. I will travel, I will do all these things by myself. After I got the symptoms, I was terrified of being left alone in my house, or even stepping outside my front door, because I'm like, what if I have a vertigo attack again and I'm out in public? What if I crash my car? What if I kill someone else because I'm driving and I lose control? So I was there. I can't remember the proper term for when you become, I think it's agoraphobia, when you become scared of the outside world.
Yes.
I was terrified, and I fell into a deep depression, Heather. I was crying at home every day. I would find it very difficult to even walk or maneuver around my house. I would have to crawl from room to room, and I spent my afternoons crying on the ground, just completely defeated. So eventually, after talking to a lot of different people, I said, you know what, I can't keep living my life like this. This is not a quality of life. So I started on one medication. The doctor had prescribed me originally amitriptyline. I didn't want to take it due to the information that I got from those forums. So I said, no, give me something different. So he recommended Topamax or topiramate. I tried it for a couple of days, and as soon as I felt a side effect, I'm like, no, I don't want it.
Right.
Then I tried propanolol, same thing. I got side effects. I was like, no, I don't want it. Until eventually I said, you know what? The doctor, the neurologist told me, Johan, it's like this. First of all medications are going to have side effects. That's a must. That's a given. You just have to understand that you have to let your body adjust to these side effects. If after the adjustment period your side effects continue very strong, then you realize the medication is not for me. What's next? But after a while, more often than not, your body will adjust and you will live without the side effects. Also, treating these conditions, he said, is very like somebody that suffers from diabetes. A diabetic person needs insulin in order for their system to work and not go into a failed state. So you need to take the medication in order to allow your he said, you're basically having an electrical storm in your brain right now. Migraines trigger some sort of electrical storm in your brain that don't let your brain function properly. So we need to take down the electrical storm and allow your brain to start repairing itself.
Right.
So when he explained it like that, I said, you know what, he's right. And I started taking the new medication that he prescribed, which was called flunarizine. So I started on flunarizine as a doses of 10 milligrams per day. And I tried it for about 4 months. And I did see some improvement. I was crying and crying every day again with depression. So the doctor said, yes, depression, if you're suffering from depression, this can add to it. So kick it back a notch to 5 milligrams. And Heather, I took it back to 5 milligrams and it worked. Like he thankfully, thanks to God and to all the therapies that I did, the physiotherapy, the chiropractor, the vestibular physiotherapy, the diets, and all the other things that I done, the yoga, the praying, the cold therapy, the breathing therapy, all of those things allow me to take control over my life again. For now, at least.
Right. Which component do you think was the biggest game changer for you?
Everything. It's a holistic
Everything
approach.
Together.
You must do everything that, I'm not saying that you have to do what worked for me, right, but you must approach it from different angles that allow you to find that inner balance, that inner peace. Prior to this, I always said yoga was for hippies. I said yoga, no, like I don't see the value in it. When I started doing it, I can't go a day without doing yoga now. I do it in the mornings as soon as I wake up, and in the evenings prior to going to bed, because it kind of like centers me again, whether I'm having a very symptomatic day or a okay, decent day. The yoga kind of like brings me back to a neutral point so I can have a decent night's sleep.
Yeah. Nope. I understand that completely. It wasn't a part of my life either before vestibular craziness. And meditation and yoga.
It's been a game changer. Yeah. So to answer your question, Heather, it has to be a holistic approach, involving diet, involving supplements, involving medication if you want to try it out, involving praying if you're a spiritual person, involving, like I started listening to happy podcasts and listening to happy calming music, and also listening to comedies, things that will make me laugh a lot to get my brain out of that sympathetic state of mind to a parasympathetic nervous response, which is when you're calm, when you're relaxed, when you're happy.
Do you think that the meds helped you at the beginning to bring you down also? Because I know a lot of people in our community are terrified of meds like you were. But I found that even if it was just temporary to help with the symptoms, bring them down a little bit and know that it's not forever. It's just a temporary thing to let your body calm down. Did you find that?
Yes, it definitely helped, and it still helps, because I'm now, even though I was so opposed to medication, I'm now on 3 different types of medication, very small dosages, like basically the minimum dosage for each. But I take all 3 because, like everything, our bodies are so perfect that they start to get used to a certain type of medication, and you're not going to get the same results from the one, or you might need support from or aid from other medications that attack different things. So I started with the flunarizine, 10 milligrams, then I took it down to 5 mg, and that's what I take right now. I also started with nortriptyline. They recommended 50 milligrams. I only take 25, which is working for me. Good. And I just started with propanolol, which they recommended 80 milligrams. I'm only taking 40. So I'm always taking the minimum of what they gave me.
Right.
And if I see that it works, great. If eventually in the future I don't need to take all 3, great. Or if eventually in the future I have to increase the dosage, great, I guess, but it is what it is. So all 3 medications are for different things. Flunarizine, calcium channel blocker that helps with migraines. Nortriptyline, antidepressant that helps your serotonin levels to decrease the input that you receive for your vestibular system, and the migraines as well. And the propranolol blood pressure medication that also decreases the input that you're getting visually and with your systems, in order to allow your vestibular system and the migraines to be less intense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was on propranolol as well, and it's actually the game changer for me. Yeah, for the dizziness. And I actually wasn't even sure if it was working, but I had to come off of it to do all the testing, the vestibular testing, like 3 days prior to the testing, to come off everything. And I was like, oh, I couldn't wait to get back on it. But I'm off everything now. So hopefully I see that in your future, coming off everything, especially if all the components are still working in sync.
Yes, the other thing, Heather, is that everybody's unique.
Yep.
I say that to everybody, because some people have told me, hey, I've tried the same medications that you're trying, same dosage, it didn't do anything for me. And I said, maybe you might need a different medication, or maybe a higher dosage. That's something between you and your doctor, but you will have to be the one that explores those different avenues. I've also had people that took medication for a couple months, all of their symptoms went away, their condition went into remission, and they've been for years without medication, and they were perfectly fine. I've also known people that took medication for a while, stopped it because they felt better. All the symptoms came back with a vengeance, so they had to get back on the medication, and they've been on it for many, many years now. So I say to everyone, you cannot compare yourself or your journey to anybody else. You need to live this on your own and figure out what works and what doesn't work for you. Don't be assuming that, oh, hey, that person is taking medication, so if I take the same, I'm going to be as functional as he is. Or that person is not taking medication, so maybe I'm not going to take mine and I'm going to be as good as she is. Like, everybody needs to find their own journey and figure out what works and what doesn't work for them.
Absolutely. I'm thankful you said that, because it's trial and error.
Yeah.
It really is, with everything, including the food and
yes,
all that
including the food. Very good.
Yeah. It's not just one thing. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's everything working together. And it doesn't happen overnight.
No. And as you know, Heather, this condition, I mean, any chronic illness or any illness, as a matter of fact, affects and changes our whole world. But these vestibular conditions literally rock our core. Like, they break you down mentally, because it's such a mental game trying to live with this. Basically, because you have all these weird, strange symptoms that even doctors are like, I don't know what to diagnose you with, because those symptoms just sound so wacky. And spiritually, because you kind of, whether you believe in God or the universe or Mother Nature or yourself, whatever it is that you believe in, you start to have a conflict, because you're like, why me? God, why me? Or universe, why me? Or even ask yourself, you blame yourself sometimes, like, what did I do to cause this to myself?
Absolutely. I just spoke with M from Bliss Out, and both of us agreed it's crazy that we're in a weird twist away very thankful for our vestibular something, because it did change our perspective of the world, and it really makes us appreciate things a lot more. And we've kind of stepped away from that busyness and are stepping towards where we should be going. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it took some vestibular something to do that.
Yeah. But it's also the way how you see it, because some people see it so negative. Like, I've spoken to people that have had it for many years, and they basically say, no, my life is over, nothing works, I'm done, I don't even know why I'm alive. And I try to tell them, don't look at it like that. Look at it as, this is an opportunity to purge or to cleanse your life, because it does that. It cleanses your life from friends that maybe weren't really friends, family that maybe didn't really care to be part of your life, foods that maybe weren't the best foods for you, jobs that maybe weren't the best jobs for what you were doing. Maybe you were meant for something different. You had a different purpose in life. So this truly is an opportunity to purge everything and kind of like start from ground zero and build from there.
Yeah, it's so true, that weight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, it is.
And everyone, I don't know, are your episodes well, your vertigo, is it episodic, or do you have long days, or do you still sway daily?
So it's basically like as you just said, it's daily, it's constant.
Mhm.
However, due to all the medication and all the supplements and all the things that I do, most of the days is very manageable. Like right now, I'm here, we're talking to you, I'm fine. A lot
Mhm.
of the interviews that I've done with other people, I've been sitting here talking to them, and I feel like I'm going like this the whole time. So
Right.
it really changes. It is a constant battle because it's every day, as I said. I rarely have days that are non-symptomatic, like very rarely. But as I said, the symptoms are more and more manageable each day.
Right. Right. I was reviewing some of the things that you've done, and you read a lot.
I do.
You do. So do I. I think that helps a lot with changing the perspective, because there's a lot of mirror work. And when I say mirror work, I mean self-reflection
Mhm.
and getting out of your head. Is there anything, one particular thing, or something you wish you would have known at the beginning of your vestibular journey that maybe someone out there that might need to hear?
Yes, and I recommend this to people. First of all, surround yourself with positivity, whether that is the people that love you, whether that is your pets, whether that is God, whether that is anything that makes you happy, start with that. Also, find the proper information out there, which Vita is a great resource for people to be able to understand or to learn more about their diagnosis. And even if they don't have a formal diagnosis, they can at least kind of align their symptoms from the Vita information.
Mhm.
And Vita can even recommend or advise you on which certified therapists or doctors that work with them are in different areas of the world. They can maybe even do a referral for you. So I do recommend for people, and I wish I would have found it sooner, before I found all those crazy forums, that go to Vida and get the proper, accurate information that you need in order to start treating whatever diagnosis you may have.
It's true. Vita, what we're talking about, in case you haven't heard, is vestibular.org. And you're a Vita ambassador, as well as I am also. And
Great.
we're volunteers for them that just bring awareness to the vestibular community. And yeah, it has been a lifesaver. And
Agree.
yeah, they have a new patient toolkit that I wish they had when I was first diagnosed. But it's been awesome. It really has. What other obstacles have you overcome, that you've experienced, that you've had trouble with, or that you're still trying to figure out how to navigate through?
One thing that I learned with this, which I was never good at, patience.
I
I
hear that
I
a lot.
I still am kind of impatient, but I learned that with this condition, you're not going to see progress on a daily basis. It takes sometimes weeks, sometimes months, maybe sometimes even years, in order to start seeing the proper steps, or the proper evolution of how you're getting better and better. One thing that saved my life is my spiritual. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Like, I don't support religion, but I do believe in God, and I pray every day and I talk to God every day. So I think that allowed me to hang on to life.
Mhm.
And also my son and my wife, they were the biggest support team, motivation, encouragement that I could find. And I don't think that without them, I likely wouldn't be here today talking to you. So I think that for people that are dealing with this, surrounding yourself with the people that love you and that believe you, because these symptoms were so crazy that a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, you're just a hypochondriac. You're imagining this." A lot of my family members, now they obviously understand better, but they were like, "We never heard of vestibular conditions. Your symptoms sound so crazy. You seem fine physically, so you're making this up. You're just looking for attention." And I'm like, when was I ever like that? Like, and who in God's green area wants to make up these very crazy symptoms?
Right.
So someone that believes you, like my wife and my son did for me, priority number one, because this can make you feel so isolated, so lonely, so broken, that if you don't have that specific support network, it's going to be very difficult to come out of the darkness.
Yeah. I completely agree. And at times we start to even question ourselves.
Yes. Oh, plenty of times I thought I was losing my mind.
I know. And along with having that support there, and I think this is one of the main reasons I started this podcast, is there are people out there that get it. And those are the ones you have to surround yourself with. And if they're not in your circle, your live circle, in your, real life, then reach out and find those people online, because we are there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we may take a little bit to get back to you, but we're there. You just have to reach out. And I know that there's a couple of the Facebook groups that I don't think I would have made it through today if I wouldn't have had them. But I say that with a grain of salt, because the Facebook groups can be tough and dark and negative also. So you really have to be careful.
Yeah, no, and there are lots of, like you said, good people out there, good ambassadors, not necessarily Vita ambassadors, but health ambassadors or community ambassadors that just basically are very welcoming and friendly. Emily, like you mentioned, she was one of the first people that I reached out to, and she basically right away started helping me out, guiding me. We helped her with. I read her books. I got a lot of the information from people that really are thriving or living a normal life again, versus going after the people that they are not doing good, and they are advising other people on what doesn't work, how difficult this is, how horrible you're going to be for the rest of your life. So you must find the proper people or the proper ambassadors, like Emily, like yourself, like many other people out there that are really building a community of support for anybody that needs it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How can we support you? I know you are out there everywhere in the community. How can we support you?
Honestly, Heather, I think the biggest thing that anybody could do for me is if my videos for the vestibular talks or the Find Your Chappiness YouTube channel have helped you, allow other people to also discover them, because I've interviewed so many different people from so many different walks of life that maybe you might not relate to one person, but there might be someone else out there that you might identify yourself with and be like, huh, that person sounds like me, or their journey, their story sounds like mine. So, and all of those people are willing to help. That's the one thing about this community, that everybody that I've interviewed always says, if anybody needs my help, let me know, and I'm more than willing to talk to them. So that will be the biggest thing that anybody can do for me. Allow other people that might be going through this, or even not going through a vestibular condition, but their family members that are healthy and need maybe a little bit of information and a different insight of what living with a vestibular disorder is like. Allow them to see these videos and to see your videos, because now with your podcast, with your videos, you're also going to create this support network for our community that needs it.
Right. Absolutely. Share the video, share the YouTube channel. I'll include it in the show notes. What is the name of your YouTube channel again?
The YouTube channel is called Find Your Chappiness, but the show is called Vestibular Talks.
That's right. I did see that, Vestibular. I'm going to have to binge your show.
I don't know. That might take a while. I think there are 95 episodes. So
I know. I saw that. I'm like, whoa, where do I start? Let's just start at the beginning.
Your whole weekend, yeah.
Well, goodness. Well, what has living with a vestibular disorder taught you? I know that's a big question, but I know you said patience. Is anything else?
Patience, definitely. To love and appreciate every day, and to love and appreciate myself and the people around me that truly matter. I used to be I used to kind of like care a lot about being a big influence. Like, I like people giving me like a lot of attention and being my friend. I used to be the popular guy. I used to be the guy that everybody wanted in their party, the entertainer, the guy that people wanted to be friends with. And I always wanted that superficial connection. This vestibular condition allowed me to bring all of that back in and realize that I really don't want that. I really truly want to help the people that truly need it, to spend the time with the people that are truly worth spending time with, like my family, my wife, my son, my dogs, my true good friends. meeting new friends like you, because I consider you a friend now. So, like building this network of happiness around me, of chappiness, I should say.
Right.
That's what this vestibular condition allowed me to learn.
Yeah.
Because before I was really preoccupied with oh, where is the next party, or where is the next show, or where is the next this. Now I'm more preoccupied with holding my wife's hand, my son's hand, and saying, where is the next adventure? When are we going kayaking? When are we going hiking? When are we
Right.
going to watch a movie together? Like trying to really make it worth and being valuable the time that we spend together. That I really learned that because of this.
Yeah. I find that the relationships are deeper now than they were
Yes.
before
Yes.
the festival or something. It's so strange you say that, but it's true. It's true
Very.
because those superficial relationships kind of fall away,
Yeah.
especially when you're constantly busy all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
People start to turn their backs on you, and I mean, no fault to them.
No,
Maybe that's their nature. Maybe the friendship or the relationship wasn't as solid as you thought it was, but it's good because now you're, as I said, you're purging and you're cleansing your life and keeping what truly matters.
right. Yep, it's true. I remember writing a post a long time ago about um the brain fog. I just had it. The silence from friends was deafening at the beginning, and it was something I think we all go through because it hurts when you see people still living their lives and you're stuck in your vestibular world.
Yes.
But you can get through that, and it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to start crying here. So
No, you make me cry. I cry all the time when I see someone crying. um, Heather, the other thing is you cannot force someone the same way how you can force someone to love you, you can force someone to care about your condition. I
no,
try to do that at the beginning. I try to force people to say, hey, I have this, acknowledge me, see, this is real, or see, this proves, this diagnosis shows that I am truly sick, like, believe me. Now I don't do that. If someone is interested in learning, I'll properly educate them or refer them to the resources that teaches them. I, much like you, I create awareness. But if someone is like, oh, I don't believe you, no one can be this, you're being this is not that bad. I'm like, okay, you know what, that's your opinion. God bless you. I don't need to fight to try and convince you that it is what it is.
right.
I know what it is. I know what it feels like living with this. I know how much I've improved. So I don't need anybody's acknowledgement or for them to
Validation.
believe me. Yeah, that this is real. So I like to say that to people. Don't a lot of times even your own family is gonna turn their backs on you and be like, you're a hypochondriac. This is not real. You're making it up. Don't try to force them to believe you.
No.
Educate them, yes, but if they choose not to believe, continue your path, because there are going to be people along the path that are going to believe you and support you.
Yes, absolutely. And it's surprising that you will have people that come back that didn't believe you at the beginning and say, I experienced this. Like my toughest symptom today is hyperacusis, just the noise sensitivity. And that's not something you can explain to anybody unless you experience it. And my father didn't understand it. And bless his heart, he's in his 80s. And now he has hyperacusis, worse than me. And he's like, I had no idea what you were experiencing. And it's dreadful. So you just never know. You just got to stay firm to yourself, be true to yourself, and lean on those people that do believe you and do encourage you and inspire.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that. Believe your symptoms, even though if they are wacky, believe them, because at the beginning, same thing. I was very sensitive to sound, but my hearing also enhanced so much that I could hear the electrical noise of the wires inside the wall. And I would be
Oh,
like, I'm like, what's that? And my wife was like, what? I'm like, do you hear it? She's like, no. I will walk all the way across the house and put my ear in a wall. I'm like, listen. And then she will listen when she was done. It's like, I hear it. I could hear it from rooms away.
oh
So
my
I
gosh.
don't have that anymore. That's symptoms do evolve, just so people know.
Yeah.
Symptoms come and go and they change. Even the dizziness changes itself as well. But that also, like with the light, I used to have such horrible light sensitivity that I would keep my eyes closed and dark glasses on, even with my eyes closed, because I couldn't handle the light. Now I'm normal. I can see, I can be outside without dark glasses, without shades. So the symptoms do evolve and they change, but believe yourself, you know your body better than anybody else.
Absolutely.
That being said, do not over focus and don't overthink it. People that have these conditions tend to overthink it. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I've been having like weird sensations of smells. I smell like incense, or I smell like smoke, but there is nothing. And I check my house, and there is nothing." And I said, "I did the research, and I've also experienced the smell of incense." And my neurologist said to me, "That's normal for people that have different neurological conditions, migraine being one of them. Sometimes you're going to experience hallucinations of sounds, smells, visual things that aren't there, but they are not lethal. There's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong. They just happen every now and then. They come and go." So I was saying that to this lady, but she's like, "No." She's like, I think I have this, and I think I'm going to develop this. And what if I have cancer? So she kept like building one thing, and I felt bad because I know I was like this too at the beginning. And a lot of people that have these conditions, I noticed, seem to be very nervous and anxious, and they tend to say, "Oh, but I have migraines, and I have vertigo, and I have diabetes, and I have POTS," and like they start to put condition after condition, even if they are not officially diagnosed. They start to put all these things together, and I think the word is catastrophize.
Yes.
So I tell people, don't overfocus. You might have all those conditions, but go to the proper doctors, go to do the proper testing, do all these things so they can rule out different things. And whatever diagnosis you get or you don't get, start figuring out what symptoms are really debilitating and which ones aren't. But if you start compiling everything and, "Oh, I have this and I have that and I have that," you're gonna cause yourself a heart attack, because you're gonna have panic attacks from throwing all of this together and telling your brain, "I have this." Our minds, Heather, are so powerful.
They are.
The power of manifestation and of self-belief is so real that whatever you believe, you feel. So when people start to say, "Oh no, but I have this, and that's going to lead to this, and I'm a little dizzy, and that's going to lead to vertigo, and the vertigo is going to lead to this," they start to experience those symptoms.
Absolutely.
They are manifesting it so strongly that they believe it. So piece of advice to everybody: don't overfocus. Just breathe and leave one symptom at a time, trying to make rational sense of what it is or what it isn't.
Right. It's so funny you say that. It takes a lot of practice to change that monkey mind and to change the what ifs and all that to positive things, instead of focusing on the symptoms, to focus on what you want the outcome to be. And that's whenever I feel tinnitus is one of my biggest precursors to vertigo for me. Like if I have it coming on, I know that I probably will experience vertigo. So when it comes on now, I actually will talk to myself. Like, nope, this isn't going to happen. I'm just going to push through. I'm just going to continue with my day. I don't focus on what could happen, but it takes practice.
And another thing, Heather, like you just said earlier, that your dad didn't understand what it was until he lived it himself. Tinnitus or tinnitus is one of those things as well. People, when you tell people, "Oh, my ears are ringing," they're like, "Oh yeah, my ears ring sometimes." What they don't understand is that ours ring with such intensity that is deafening sometimes. And it can be a loud beep, or it can be a muffled sound, like almost like your ear is full, like you, or it can be like the crashing of waves. It's almost like you have a lot of water in your ear.
Or the fluctuation where it comes and it goes.
And then it goes. Yes, it's almost like you're here and then it's, yes. So it's so hard to explain those things even to a doctor, unless they are aware of what it is or they lived it themselves. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to understand what you're talking about.
No, but you just have to just be true to yourself. And because the symptoms suck.
I couldn't have said it better. Yes.
Well, is there anything else you want to share before we go on to whirlwind questions?
The one thing is that I tell people to trying to find a balance getting into a routine. Don't become OCD. I used to be very OCD about my routine, that if I broke it one day for whatever reason, because maybe I had to work later or whatever happened, I will start to panic. I will
Sorry.
start. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, it's my dog. Sorry.
I know it's okay. So I will start to panic if I didn't follow my routine. Now I'm more flexible
Right.
with it, but I do follow a routine of waking up in the morning. I don't get up right away. I kind of like slowly put myself aside, then sit up slowly. Then I pray. Then I do stretching exercises. Then I do breathing. Then I take my cold shower. Then I eat my breakfast. And then at night, I follow a similar routine with stretching, praying, relaxing myself. Then I take a warm shower in the evening. I read a book, and then I go to bed. And I try to get at least, if possible, 8 hours of sleep. Because if you don't follow your routine, if you get only 3 hours of sleep and you don't eat well throughout the day, eating well is another one. You have to keep your meals on track, keeping hydrated. If you don't follow your routine, it's easy for the symptoms to get out of control and to be very, very hard to maneuver or to manage. So that's my piece of advice to people. Try to find the routine that works for you,
Right.
and try to stick to that routine as much as you can in order to start finding patterns of what works and what doesn't work.
Do you keep a journal?
I used to, which I like to start again. I used to keep a journal of my daily life and one of positive affirmations. The positive affirmation one, extremely helpful. But I stopped both because I started feeling better. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend my time now doing this and that. But I would like to start that again, because even if you're symptom free, it's a good habit to have. It's good to journal, to maybe reflect, to maybe talk to yourself a little bit,
Absolutely. I stopped doing a symptom journal when I started improving, but now I do every morning after I do yoga, I do 3 pages. I'm trying to think of the name of the book, but it's 3 pages of just a stream of consciousness, just whatever comes to mind, whether it's the birds chirping or whatever. And the stuff that comes up for me is amazing. I'll have to find the book and I'll have to send you the name of
Yeah,
it.
please.
But and it's not something that you go back and read until like a couple months later, but it's amazing how deep after you do yoga or meditation, how that taps in to that subconscious, and the things that it brings forth is just, it's positive and it's inspirational and it's pretty awesome. Well,
Heather, what now I'm gonna ask you a question. What does meditation look like for you? For me, for example, I've spoken to people that are like, oh, I can meditate because I sit there in quiet and I get angry or I get mad. And I said, meditation for me is not that. Meditation for me can be listening to classical music, listening to positive affirmations,
yep.
just laying there thinking about how my day went. That's what I call meditation.
Mm-hmm.
People assume that you have to be there sitting in the same position with a clear mind.
Yeah.
What is it like for you?
It's different for me. I do different type of meditation things. I do sit quietly at times, and I've got a 9-year-old daughter, and she's very high spirited and very sensitive. So I'm trying to, teach her that, a way of calming and things like that. But I also, another meditative thing is photography. I
Nice.
will spend 10 minutes a day focused on something and outside the home, and just for 10 minutes, just zone out and take pictures of one thing I know it sounds weird, but when I go back to the pictures, I always see something that I didn't see initially. And that's another way. But I mean, meditation takes on so many different forms. It could be washing dishes and being totally there. I know it sounds crazy, but
No,
washing
it's
that
true.
glass and being completely present.
Yes.
You don't have to be doing all the foo-foo, whiteness and candles and all that stuff. It doesn't, anything.
Agree. Yeah, it could
Taking a
be
walk.
anything. It
Yeah,
could be going for a walk. Yeah.
absolutely. Just something just to let everything go and just to be there with yourself. It doesn't matter. Whether it's music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that, like you said, being present without being negative, just kind of like feeling what you feel and letting it go roll through, but just thinking, oh, I want to be okay. You know what? Maybe everything is fine. Maybe the sky is beautiful today. Maybe the grass looks greener today. Just try to appreciate the things around you rather than being stuck in your mind thinking, oh, well, I don't know how to meditate. I don't know how to do this. This doesn't feel good. Like just, yeah.
I will tell you too, when I was in the deepest part of my darkness and my sickness, when I was suffering from vertigo nonstop 24/7, as much as I held back and would resist, the best thing for me was when my family came and said, let's get out of this room. Let's get out of this house. We're just going to take you here and you can just sit outside for just a little while. And my happy place even today is the beach, just anywhere near water. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
And if you can find that place where you feel completely at peace and your family knows about that, let them take you there. Let them do that for you, because you need to remember those things, what living a beautiful life is, because you can live a gorgeous, beautiful life with these symptoms. You just have to figure out how to navigate and get there. And I don't want to get emotional, but it can. You just have to figure out what's right for you, and it's tough.
And you're right. You gotta find what works for you. A lot of people see me riding bicycles on my pictures on Instagram, or they see my videos of me kayaking, and they're like, I don't think I can do that. And I tell them, be patient. I couldn't do that last year or the year before, but now I can. So it takes, and it just takes practice and knowing your limitations too. Heather, first I started riding bicycles for maybe 5-10 minutes, and I will get frustrated because I'm like, I used to be normal and ride for hours. Like, what the heck is going on now? But then I said, you know what? I should be grateful that at least I'm 5-10 minutes, and that progress into 20 minutes, and that evolved into 30 minutes. So I tell people, don't compare yourself to me. Allow your journey to guide you and start trying different things little by little. So you're right. People will live a full life with certain limitations, but to the fullest of their capacities.
Absolutely. Yep. It's going to look different than before, and that's okay. That's all right. It's just, you just have to feel alive, find those things that make you feel alive. But, so are you ready for whirlwind questions?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Fill in the blank. Vestibular disorders are?
Crazy.
That they are. You feel your symptoms coming on and you're trying to be brave. What's the first thing you do?
Breathe. Deep breath.
I always find myself taking a deep breath after that question, because that's what people say mostly. It's so true. What's one thing that people usually get wrong about you?
They think that I'm too kind of like too difficult to be friends with, which is the opposite. I'm usually one of those friends that I will take my shirt off of my back to give it to you if you need it.
Right.
Exactly that. They feel like I have people that are like, oh, well, you seem to I have 3 cars. So people are like, you have all these cars. So a guy told me before that I haven't spoken to him in a long time. And I reach out to him and I'm like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. And say, well, like, it seems like you have all these cars. So he's like, my car is kind of ugly and I feel that you might not want to hang out with me. I'm like, you kidding me? I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I don't care about my cars. Pick me up in your car. I'm like, or I can pick you up in mine. Like so people tend to put these ideas based on what they see in social media.
Yeah.
Social media is a fantasy. You only put in social media what you want people to see in social media.
Right.
They need to really get to know the real you, not the fancy, flamboyant Instagram you. That's not the real you.
Right. I get that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite meal, Johan?
Steak.
Steak. No question, steak, huh?
No, the done steak.
And what's the last show that you binged and loved?
I try not to watch a lot of, now that I can watch TV again. I try not to watch a whole lot, but I've been watching with Onyx, one of my dogs. He loves watching Pit Bulls and Parolees.
What is it?
Pit Bulls and Parolees on Animal Planet. Is the Pit Bull rescue that she hires ex-cons or ex-Parolees to work for her. So it's a really cool show. It's about animal rescue. And Onyx, my
I
dog.
think I have seen like the commercial for that.
Onyx loves it. And if I change the channel, he growls. He's
No
such a
way.
sweet dog. He's the sweetest dog on the universe. And if I switch the channel, he looks at me and he growls. So I recorded him. Actually, he's on Instagram right now on my stories doing that. So the other day I was watching it with him and we were like 7 episodes deep in. And I'm like, Onyx, I love the show, but I want to watch something else. And he gave me the look of like, don't even try to change the channel, Daddy. Don't even try.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
He's just growling at you. So he's got you binge watching TV.
Yes, it's his show. Yeah.
That's so funny. What is on your nightstand?
Books, including the Bible. Even though I'm not religious, I like to read and learn, about the Bible. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of their stories, but that's not for me to judge. I just like to learn about who Jesus was and what he did for us. Books about finances, books about happiness, books about animals. So I have a stack of like 5 or 6 books next to my bed. I also have a glass of water and a little bit of salt because I drink salt water for the electrolytes in your body. People don't realize that if you drink plain water all day long, that dehydrates you. Even though it's weird to say that water dehydrates you because it washes your sodium and magnesium and all these other supplements from your body or minerals. So water with a bit of salt hydrates you. So next to my bed, water and salt.
That brings me another question I forgot to ask you. You've got to tell me about these cold showers, because you were the second vestibular warrior I've heard about in 2 weeks that takes these cold showers for the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yes. If you get a chance, Heather, there is a guy on the internet on YouTube called Wim Hof.
Oh, I know. Yes. Yeah.
He teaches the Wim Hof method of breathing, which
Iceman.
allows you to, the Iceman. So it allows you to control, or not control, but to basically understand your sympathetic response, which sympathetic doesn't mean that is sympathy. People think that the sympathetic system is happy. Sympathetic is your fight or flight. Parasympathetic is your calm and relax. So the Wim Hof breathing method and other different methods, you can do the box method, you can do different strategies, help you for that. But the cold showers, the same response that you have from anxiety of a panic attack is the same response your body gets when you're submerged under cold water. So when you start to do that every single day, your body becomes more calm and it is more adaptable to respond to difficult situations, whether it's stress, anxiety, panic. You become more able to manage that. So I swear by them, and I recommend them to people that want to try them out.
And that's in the morning that you do that.
You can do them at any time of the day. I do them in the morning to start my day because after a cold shower, you kind of like wide awake. And I try to do them throughout the whole year, even when it's minus 30 degrees outside. I still take them at home. It sucks. It's really cold, but it's good.
Yeah. My friend that she has Meniere's and she just moved up north, and she said that she was told by her physical therapist to try the cold showers because of the humidity in the shower, that she just had really bad symptoms. So she started doing that and she swears by them now.
Yeah, people that have POTS, when they are showering with cold water, they start to get really dizzy or they feel like they want to drop. I'm not a doctor, so please don't follow what I say, but I did recommend trying cold showers.
Right.
And they said, yeah, with the cold shower, you don't get the same sensation that you want to faint.
Wow.
Because Yeah, because I think that the hot water does something to your blood in your system that it might pull it or make it rush more, and that's why you might feel lightheaded. But the cold showers do the opposite. They actually bring your body to your core, so you won't feel as lightheaded. Yeah.
On top of the tactile sensation, that's really interesting.
And your lymph nodes, like when I'm taking a cold shower, I expose my armpit, my neck, the back of my head, my face for a little bit. You do not want cold water in your head for long periods of time. So you want to switch it up, different areas of your body, your hips, your inner legs. If you do that, it apparently, again, I'm not a doctor, it's supposed to be really good for you, for the lymph nodes in your lymphatic system in your body.
Huh. That's so interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more.
You might have to start throwing yourself in a really cold shower.
That's too funny. Well, that leads me into my next question is an activity that completely relaxes or grounds you.
Walking. Especially if I can do it on grass with barefoot, like bare feet. That's also, and if I can have my dogs with me, even better.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you take all of them with you, or do you have one?
I do. They are getting older, so I can feel them slowing down, but I still take them on walks.
Aw, that's good. We have a little puggle, and she's a little chunky monkey, and she's. I try to drag her out for a couple miles a day, but she's just.
What's her name?
Her name's Macy. My daughter just feeds her when she shouldn't, and she's a little chunk. I think she's almost 50 pounds, and she shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think I spoil like mine as well with some food that they shouldn't really eat. Yeah.
Let's see. What movie could you watch over and over and never tire of?
Marley and Me.
Oh my gosh. Talk about tearjerker.
Yeah, I cried every time, but my wife and I really love watching that movie.
It's a beautiful movie. It really is. What is your most used tool out of your vestibular toolbox?
The breathing it helps for a lot of things, and it's one of the easiest things. It's free. You can do it anytime, and it's free. Yep. Take it with you. Breathing is one, and also smiling. Like Heather, sometimes I might feel that there might be a lot of dizziness coming through, and I just breathe, and then I smile, and I'm like, everything's gonna be okay. I got this, and then I feel better. Automatically feel better.
Yeah, I see that. The smile makes all the difference.
Yeah,
it does.
Even if you have to fake it till you make it, smile.
Yeah. What are you extremely grateful for today?
God. As I said, I'm not religious, but I do believe there is a God, and he's been so present in my life since I was a child, that through thickness and through happiness and through everything, through hard times, he's always been there. And I know people give it this divine image that God is omnipresent and all these other things, and you basically have to see him with fear and respect. I don't see him like that. I see God as I'm a little piece of him. Like we are created with stardust. Whether you believe in God or not, we are a piece of the universe. We're stardust and we're dust in ourselves. So every time that I've needed him, or that I had a doubt, or that I had a question, or that I felt lonely, or that I felt happy, or that I felt successful, I can feel God around me, Heather. I can feel, and I can see him. I can see him in the way how my son looks at me. I can see him in the way how you and I got connected. We didn't know each other. We live away from each other. Somehow we're friends now, and we have things that we both relate to each other with. Like, nothing is a coincidence. Things are part of a pattern, and I do believe that God is the mastermind behind that pattern.
Couldn't have said it better. There's a higher power. Well, I thank you so much for being here, Johan, and the Chappiness guy. I love it. I love it. Love it. And I love the story. I'm so glad I asked, because now I know what that means. And I just picture your pup. And let me see, which one was that? And that was Safari. Okay.
Roy is outside sun tanning. He loves the sun. So he's Troy is a pit bull and what's it called, boxer mix.
Oh.
And then I have the devil outside as well, and his name is Sir Duke, and he's a winner dog.
That's right.
He's a demon. He's such a terror. I love him though. He's got the personality of 1,000 dogs into one, but he's something else.
Oh, that's so cute. Their pictures online are just adorable.
Yeah, don't let Sir Duke fool you. He's
a little stinker, huh?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. And I will include everything on how people can get in touch with you in the show notes.
Thank you, Heather. It's been a pleasure for me as well to be here with you, to share this emotional yet very personal and very helpful information with you and with your viewers. And yeah, you have a new friend here in Canada. So, and if you ever consider being my guest in Vestibular Talks, I would love that as well.
Hey, that would be awesome. I would be flattered.
Awesome. And say hello to Macy for me.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, and find you Chappiness. Bye, Ed.
Thank you for joining me, Heather Davies, and my guest, Johan, the Chappiness guy, on this week's episode of Meniere's Muse. If you know someone that would benefit from hearing this conversation, please share this episode with them. This is just one small way you can help bring awareness to vestibular disorders. Be sure to share, like, and follow. If you would like to reach out to Johan, the Chappiness guy, please see the show notes for his contact information, YouTube channel, and Instagram handles. If you would like to reach out to me, Heather Davies, please find my email address, YouTube channel, and Instagram in the show notes. Remember to subscribe to Meniere's Muse for updates. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week, Warriors.